Do, 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 do. Awesome. We are live. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for patiently waiting for us to adjust. As we're having some technical difficulties adjusting to this new way of incorporating what we do and how we do. My name is Autumn with ADQM Solutions. Definitely a girl for marketing, solution orientated, where I take your problem and give it value. And I am here with my beautiful friends and also business owners. And I'm going to let everyone go around and introduce themselves. Carissa?
Hi, I'm Carissa, CEO and founder of No Fear Productions and Jazz Poetry Cafe. And currently we have Jazz Poetry Cafe as a platform for up-and-coming artists to gain exposure and further their reach. Also, we have opportunities for small business owners to gain exposure as well, especially in particular tomorrow, we will be having a virtual vending opportunity. Our whole mission is to help you get exposure, expand your reach, get in front of people that didn't otherwise know who you were or what you had to offer. So if you have any questions, concerns, feel free to look us up on all social media.
Awesome, awesome. Coach Michelle?
I am Coach Michelle Kennedy, Miss Get You Together herself, and that's what I specialize is getting you your life together. So if you are in need of a life coach or a coach in any area except sports, I'm your girl. We have a team and a network of coaches, and there's like almost no area that you can't be coached in because every player is always better with a coach. And if you are interested in becoming a life coach, we have open enrollment for our January session. You can contact me at Coach Michelle Kennedy on all social media, and we'll be glad to get your life. Yes.
That's what's up. Wadeline?
Hey everyone, my name is Wadeline Charles with Grand Rev Financial. We do specialize in wealth management, accounting for small businesses, insurance needs, so your life insurance needs, along with payroll. So on our areas of increasing your wealth, we assist you with that. Definitely ready to help you wealth up. And we can be reached at Grand Rev Financial. The name is on there at on Facebook, Instagram, and then grandmafinancial.com as well to book your free consultation.
Awesome, awesome. Selena?
Good evening. I am financial life coach Selena G, where I am happy and willing to help you reach financial freedom. You can reach me via my website, www.selenagibbons.com. I would be glad to do a free consultation with you, as well as one-on-one coaching if you need coaching in the financial area. And welcome to our live.
Awesome. And Tammy?
Hello, everybody. This is Tammy Scott. I'm with Kissed by Lacey, where we believe that everybody deserves to be kissed. And we want to start by kissing your sense of smell, which are with my candles, the scented candles. So not only do we want to kiss your sense of smell, but we want to make sure that your home, office, and we're working on the cars. We want to make sure that they all smell good. You can reach me at kissedbylacey.com to see what we have to offer, or you can just reach out to on Facebook, Kissed by Lacey.
Awesome. All right, so let's get straight to the point. Let's talk hobbies and a business. Two clearly different things, but they're often confused. So I just want to be open in general to give our opinion of it, and then we'll get into a little bit more logistics as to definitely the reasons why when we talk about the financial side and the side of profit and expense as well. Chime in, hobby versus business. I know I started as a hobby, my business.
I started as a hobby.
Yes, I would say You want to know what the difference is between the hobby or, and business?
I think me personally, I was doing what I do now as it was a passion. So I was just doing it. There wasn't
Right.
profit related until I was like, when I wanted to start putting a profit to it because I seen the opportunities of what I was doing and how I was impacting others. I also kind of misled what I was doing for a while. It took a while to get the reputation. Tammy knows hands on. Tammy, how many times I was out there business owner setting, doing everything full stream, and then at the same time, all the expense and time, and it was just something that I like to do. I actually burned out doing that.
Yeah.
The passion of what I wanted to do.
And that's usually how it is, with the hobbies, it's something that we love to do, but at the same time, we're not making any money off of it. It's just something we do. Because I started with the candles, just making them for my house, or I'll make it as a gift and give it to somebody, but then it was like Autumn, I was sitting there thinking about it. I was like, well, there's a lot of people out here selling candles, making them and selling them. So why can't I?
Right.
And I wanted to touch on like as far as like you always saying we're getting burnt out because we start off loving what we do and we're like totally, but we're not monetizing it, so we end up having to do something for money to survive and doing what we enjoy doing without sitting down and saying, okay, let me get organized and figure out how I can monetize it so that I can alleviate that stress of having to do something just for their money and doing that thing that I'm really passionate about on the side.
Yeah.
Well,
And I noticed that I also am a hairstylist as well as a financial coach. But before I got licensed right after high school, I was doing hair as a hobby. My cousins, my family members. And then got licensed and went into the salon and started doing it as a business. Excuse me. But sometimes people still don't take it as a serious business. They still want you to treat it as a hobby, your family members and maybe close friends. And some people still tend to not want to pay whatever the cost of your services are, especially if they're friends and family. And so they may look at it as a hobby or a non-essential business, quote unquote. But it is a business. And so I definitely, I know there's some people out there that don't have their, license and may have gotten their braiding license or what have you. But it is such a blessing when you can incorporate it into a business and take it from hobby.
so by definition, like a hobby is something you do for recreation. A business is something you do to generate income.
Right.
So because you can make money doing it doesn't really necessarily mean that you need to make money doing it. Because some people are just not built to be business owners
Mhm.
because yeah, like people who can't hold down a job are generally not good business owners. So if you are able to kind of, finagle your way through things, but just because you can do it to make money doesn't, and also just because it's a business right now don't mean that it's gonna always be business for you. Like when 2017 when I launched my business, like I launched 5 businesses at the same time. They were all small businesses. But I can tell you right now, 3 years later, that 2 of them I'm not even operating in. Can I make money doing it? Yes. But is it ideal to be trying as one person running all of those businesses? No. So I think you got to make sure that if you're going to do it as a business, that that's what you want to do. And then the second thing is if you're going to do it as a business, like there has to be like a defined, um not even like an announcement, but it's got to be like a defined cutoff point that I'm no longer doing this for hobby. I'm now doing this for business. And I think sometimes we run into the problem when we are doing it as a hobby that we continue to do it and deal with people in that same manner, but then we expect for them to start paying us for the service when we've not made that defined cutoff that this is no longer my hobby. This is what I'm doing for business. Because I know I had to do that for my family when it comes to baking cakes. Because like, hey, we have an issue. Gonna bake a cake? No, but I'll cook something else because I don't want you to think that every time we have some, I'm gonna roll up with a free cake. And you done bought a pack of hot dogs. That just ain't been to work. I'm sorry. Like butter and sugar is expensive. So I think it gets muddy when we don't set a defined boundary as to this is business. It's no longer a hobby.
So do y'all
Um,
agree?
Okay,
ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Another thing, what about being a business versus a hobby? I tell people a lot of times, a lot of people have things that they're good at, but doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're supposed to have a business in. Sometimes the things that you're good at is set in place to facilitate the greater purpose. Like I love music. I always wanted to learn how to play the piano, but I'm not out here trying to be a master pianist, because I know that's not what I'm purposed to do. I'm purposed to oversee the arts as a whole, the entertainment. So I had to take a step back and say, what is it that I really was created to do, and how can I do it well? And not what I could do for money, because that's a lot of times that's why people go into business, because I can make money from this. Most people, and I know the financial, Waterline and Selena could attest to this. Your first year or two, you're gonna lose money. And so if you're starting off a business thinking I'm gonna make all this money, and then when you don't make that money, that's gonna be your defining moment of what your why is. Why are you gonna continue doing this? Were you in it just for the money, or were you in this because this is what you were created to do? Because you have to remain consistent. Like I've said before, I've had as little as 5 people in my audience, and I had to continue to do it every month, whether it took money out of my pocket or whether I generated money to cover it. But I knew what I was purposed to do, and I continued at it. You see the stories of a lot of people who have businesses that they started off selling music out their cars, or were homeless, and they stayed consistent at what they were purposed to do. And so a lot of times when you try to turn your hobby into a business, that's when you realize, okay, this was really just a hobby, not a business, or not something I want to continue to do. And then what Michelle was saying about how you got to have the defining cutoff for family and friends. I know a lot of people in Jacksonville, and I can't tell you, when I first started, a lot of people used to come to the door and think they want to get in for free. Oh, I know Carissa. A lot of people know Carissa. That doesn't mean that you're going to get into my establishment for free when I have expenses.
Yep.
And so what I knew that the type of person I am, that I always give somebody a pass. So I remove myself from the door. So I don't get met with those, come on, let me in. I know I got a bulldog that sits at my door that say, I'm glad you know my mom. That'd be $20 or $40.
I think when we talk business, but as a business owner and as a consultant, we have to know that it's for profit. We have to include the dollar amount. If we don't include the dollar amount, we will lose, we won't remain in business, and we will be burned out. Like we have to consider that the difference in between the two, because at the end of the day, a business has no heart. You have a heart to an extent, but if you operate with your heart, you won't be functional.
No.
I've heard it from Dr. Carlton at Jack's Chambers. I've heard it over again, because ideally it doesn't function, but that's where I don't think we actually take the two and balance them. So
that's it. You have to balance.
You've got to. So with that being said, would you suggest that a business start out, you're trying out a business? I feel kind of up on the wall. If you're good with something and it's something that you enjoy to do and you're getting paid for it, you more than likely will stick on doing it. But if you're
Yeah.
something and you're not trying to get paid for it, you'll burn out trying to make it a business and you don't want to. Would you suggest someone start as a hobby to see if it works for them, or would you suggest one or the other?
Well, I've heard success stories from either way. Some people start off with a business and never did as a hobby. And then some people started out as a hobby and then wound up turning into a business. Everybody's story to success depends on you, because it's how much effort you're going to put into it. A lot of times people go into business thinking they're going to get rich quick. And so I want everyone to make tons of money in their business, but you got to face reality. Like, okay, it's going to be some times that you don't make a lot of money. Some of these Fortune 500 companies, especially with this pandemic, lost a lot of money closing stores. And so you have to face reality. Like, okay, if I don't make the money that I want, will I continue to do this? Especially a lot of people start off with getting storefronts when they haven't even solidified a fan base or clients.
But the question is, if someone wants to be a business owner, would you suggest them doing a business or starting off as a hobby? So a business owner, they're looking to profit. So the question I got
off as a hobby, so
would
you
say-
know if it's something that you want to really do.
that's what the question. I got a couple of questions that actually came through. That was one of them. So I know I want to give time for everyone to talk too, but I'm asking in general to all of us on here. What would be yours? Hobby? Tammy said hobby, and she said to see if you want to do it. Anybody else would suggest business or hobby first?
I would say hobby. Well, pretty much whatever it is that you is gifted to do, always start off as a hobby. And you find yourself was already doing it without even realizing it, and that's how you get to that point of, okay, I can turn this into a business and make a profit out of it. But a lot of us, because of the gift that we have, you already pretty much was doing it, did not realize you was coaching, or didn't realize you was, cooking and bringing in stuff for the family, and, and doing these things already, and without even realizing it. And it was a hobby. And so then you sit down and realize, okay, I can turn this into a business. So pretty much you already have been doing it without even realizing it.
Right.
I say business.
I say business too. I think you have to have that mindset to take me serious. If I start off otherwise, it's a slow roll. I don't set the foundation. That's just my opinion.
Yep. I think that when you do it as a hobby and then do it as a business, you kind of think you know what you're doing, so you don't take the time to properly prepare. Like you just roll into it instead of doing the research, making sure that you're set up in the proper manner, making sure you got the right paperwork, making sure those type of things. When you decide you're going to do it as a business, you're more amped to do the research first, than to just kind of roll into it.
What would you say?
Sometimes though, I'm sorry.
Right. And that's good, Michelle. That's pretty much what I was, wanted to get into. You already know what you want to do, but then you kind of roll into it, like you were saying, in that business form.
Sometimes though, and I get exactly what Michelle was saying with that, but sometimes if you start out straight as a business, even if you start out as a hobby, if you set your stuff up, because I believe in quality over quantity. I don't care if it's a hobby or if it's a business. So in some situations, if that's how people think, that they want all their stuff to be quality anyway, I'm going to run my hobby. I'm going to do my hobby as if I was doing a business, in my mindset, because whatever I put out to you, I want it to be the best. I don't want to come, half stepping. But I also get what she's saying too. Sometimes people start a business. I know I've started one before. I just okay, I just need to do something. And I just jumped off the ledge.
Mhm.
And that building hit the ground right with me. So I get what she's saying, and I still wasn't prepared. And even now, sometimes I feel like I'm still not prepared. So, but I do believe that even as a hobby, if you love it and you're passionate about it, you're going to make sure that it's not something that you just half-step with. You're going to put your all into it, because your name is still tied to that, whether it's a hobby or a business. And I know for me, if my name is tied to it, I want the best from it. And if it ain't the best, let me know so I can fix it.
Wadeline, what's your opinion?
I feel like business. I feel like people tend to go the hobby route because it's because you're unsure. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna take the less, in a sense, risky way of going into business. I'm gonna test the waters, put my toe in. But in business, and when you're in business a while, you learn that like you don't really know what's gonna happen until you're in it. Like it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, you're always gonna get rocks thrown at you. So it's what you're gonna do with them, or are you gonna like which kind of guard are you gonna put up when the rocks get thrown, because they don't stop. So I feel like jumping in and saying, hey, regardless, hey, if you know like it's okay if the business doesn't work out. It's okay if you go 6 months in and it's a flop and you're like, well, off to the next one. Like it's okay. And I think a lot of the times people are just afraid to fail, but then they end up not doing it altogether, which sets them back. Or they take the hobby route and it always stays a hobby. And they end up losing so much money because it's still a hobby. So they're pouring all this money into their hobby and it's not generating enough income. And they never get to the point of making it an actual business. So I say like, if you're like, hey, I want to create a business, maybe I want to test out the waters, go in business. It's okay if it failed. It's okay if a year later you're like, man, this doesn't work out. Like Grand Rev is not my first business. Like I was a chef. I was out here doing cooking food, Haitian food out here, and I was like, oh, this is not it. This is slavery. But it just like like you really like get to know like what you like to do, what your purpose is, and trial and error. And you don't really get there if you're dipping your toe in. Because now like you just dip the toe in, now you're never gonna get your full body wet because you're scared because it was cold when you put one toe in.
Right. Is that how the burnout? Is that how burnout happens too? Would you say? Like burnout is severe. It can take you away where you never want to do something that you were good at, and vice versa. It can kind of get you where you take a break. But what would y'all talk about as far as the burnout? I mean, burnout comes with something you're doing, making profit as well. But statistics show that it usually happens more when you're doing a hobby versus the business aspect of it.
I would say with burnouts, they happen in business and with hobbies, but with hobbies it's more likely because you're running yourself dry in a sense, because you have to pour in money in order to sustain the hobby. In business, burnouts usually happen when you're not hiring where you need to be. You're not strategically planning to scale the business, so you're burning yourself out because you're taking too much on. You're not getting an assistant when you need to, you're not getting organized, and you keep letting everything pile up without getting the necessary help. So I feel like on both ends, burnouts do happen. But as a business owner, you're like, I'm burnt out. I need to look at getting organized and hiring a team. As a hobby, you're burnt out. I need to stop draining all my income, all my money into this hobby and figure out, hey, what do I want to do with it? Is it something that I just want to do for charity purposes? Like Michelle, she makes cakes. Does she just want to give out cakes to the community for free because she loved making them that much? But then she knows, okay, I'm only gonna make cakes twice a week because I don't want to be burnt out making cakes when it's not really making me money. It's not my bread and butter. And yes, I enjoy it. Like I enjoy going to the pool. I'm not gonna go to the pool every day.
Right.
Like, but so trying to like put your hobby in a sense on a leash. Because you know that you don't want it to totally, if it's something that you really enjoy doing it and you don't enjoy doing it, and you don't really want to turn it into a business, then kind of sustain it where it's not taking over your life and you could still focus on other aspects.
I think like for me, I think baking is more of a hold on, I'm turning my volume down. I think baking for me is more of a hustle than a hobby, because if I need to, how the old folks say, hit a lick, I bake a cake and post it, and then I'm gonna get a bunch of orders for cakes. Like so, and I end up being able to do whatever. Like when I got ready to publish my first book, didn't have the money. I baked enough cakes to pay for my publishing contract, to pay for my first purchase of books. And then I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I ain't got to bake no more. So when the pandemic hit, people was home. I was like, people home, they gonna want cake. So I did a little post, and then like in 1 week, I remember making 14 orders, and I was like, whoa, this too much. I'm baking every single day. So then I had to say, okay, so you need to confine this hustle to the days you want to hustle,
Exactly.
instead of allowing it to consume you, and the stuff
Mhm.
that's really your business is being put on the back burner. Like I literally was getting up at 6:30 before I go to work at 7 and baking. On my break, I'm mixing. On my lunch, I'm baking. On my break, I'm mixing. Then I got another cake, and it will burn you out. So it's about, you got to make sure that you're putting it in perspective, and I think a lot of that comes, we don't do the proper planning in the beginning. Like when you don't do the proper planning in the beginning, like you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do. Like one of the things I said, okay, I need to invest in another mixer. Like I've had my KitchenAid since 2016. Like I don't know the life expectancy on it, and I'm probably sure it ain't meant to be doing 14 cakes in a week. So
Mm.
knowing that, okay, so if I'm gonna continue to do this, I need to do things differently. I think a lot of people who do the hobby and then go into the business don't, may not have that mind frame that, okay, I gotta do some things differently.
Yes.
Um, and like for me, it was okay. That the price of everything is going up, so you got to increase your cakes. Like when I first started, I used to bake cakes for $25. Ain't no way in the world. All that butter, sugar, sour cream, and filling cream
Ah.
cheese that go into them cakes. I'm like, no, I can't do that no more. So, but again, it was my hustle. So I'm like, ooh, they'll pay $25. I'm just going, and so yeah, yeah, I'm done. I
I agree.
digress.
I made and I'll speak for me personally, and Tammy can vouch. Keeping up with Tammy and a bunch of my other friends going to these vendor events. What did I do, Tammy? I influenced my hobby in it but it wasn't never in my business model to begin with. But I was
Right.
trying to make and trying to do, but I confused the two separate platforms as well. So I had to learn how to be able to separate the two of them to be beneficial for my business, because it has to be clear. You can't have like what's working now and what you want to work later to both combine with each other. So those are some of the things that I had to make sure I took out what I love to do so I can still continue to do it. And then also do what I know I'm geared to do, what I'm set out to do as far as like my business model and plan. But I do think the business part first is so important, because what do you do? Like Michelle said, you prepare, you line up, you do everything you're supposed to do, because you don't want to take that hit as hard. But like Wileen was saying, if I know it's a hobby, when I take the hit as hard, it won't hurt as bad. So I'm okay with it. You can't, you gotta, it's either like, but how does people take you serious? You know, that's the thing about it too. You want them,
Yeah.
you want them to support you. You want them, so it's like you got to be consistent.
Have to be consistent.
That
Yeah,
is the key to that.
that's how they take you seriously. Your
Yeah.
consistency.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
did the
think-
same thing, like Autumn said, you know, yeah, making candles. I used to do it just for home, and then I just stopped. And then it was like I went on about my business and I was doing other stuff. And then it was just like one day I was like, you know what? I keep doing all these MLM businesses. I might as well just do my own business. And then I had to think about it. Well, what is it that I like to do? I actually like making candles. And that's why I like Waldina said, you know, I jumped off that bridge again. I jumped straight off of it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do business. And that's just what it is. And it's been a struggle and it's still a struggle, but you just got to keep doing it. I mean, eventually it'll pay off. Even though it hit me in my pocket, even now, I'm still not to that point where my business is sustaining itself. So when your business is not fully sustaining itself, some people still say that you still have a hobby.
Mhm.
You said some people say you should still have one.
No,
That you still do
That you
have one.
still do.
Oh,
yeah, that you still do, even though you have a business, because your business is not sustaining itself. They say that it's still just a hobby.
I mean, I kind of agree in a way, and I kind of, it's a good topic to bring into the IRS standpoint, because after so many times when your business is not making what it needs to be, they start to identify that as a hobby. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think
Mhm.
those goals and those things that kind of keep you as a business owner on point, to kind of make sure you're doing what you can to reach a goal or sustainability. Because there gets to be a point we can't all do it by ourselves.
Yep.
When we need to hire or we need to outskirt, we need to, there begins to be a point where even when we don't see it in budget, we'll make it in budget when we can kind of adjust it to be the one. But there's got to be some other form of strategy. Like I don't take no for an answer. That's the type of person I am. So like but that's a good point for what happens when that transition is coming, where you've been in business and it's not where it is. Is it okay to say this is a hobby, or is it okay to kind of like change your gear in motion? And I guess it depends on where your passion is or where you are with it as well.
Yeah. Like I know, for me, like I have a print company, Princey Printing, and so I do graphic designs and all of that stuff, but it's like right now I have no desire to do it. Like I have to pay somebody to do mine. Otherwise I have to take the time to do it. Like I don't have the time that it requires in order to be able to put out quality work. So I would rather take that and give that business to someone who actually is doing graphic designs when the funds are available. Also, like I sew, like I make maxi skirts. And so I'm like, yeah, do I really want to sit down and be at a sewing machine? No. So I've reached out to somebody who's a seamstress and I'm like, hey, I got some designs I want to put together. So you got to know at what point that it's not for you to continue. Like, can I do it? Yeah. Like I did it for 2-3 years successfully. But at this juncture, it's not what's at the forefront. But does that make it a failure? No, it's not a failure. It's that time has just been reallocated. And a lot of it is based upon the way you perceive it. What's your perspective? I learned a whole lot in that process. Stuff that I now do share that it still generates income. And also I was gonna say is like people ask me all the time, why do you still work your full-time job? And I say I work my full-time job so that my business can remain my passion.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
There was a question that actually got posted. What about if you want it to be a hobby but still make money? Is it just not being bound to entrepreneurship? But if
Yeah,
you wanna
like
keep it, I mean, you can.
I think it's still, you can make money from a hobby. She
Mhm.
makes money from doing cakes. It's still a hobby, but she makes money doing it. I
Right.
just did the detox pack with T-Posh. I do finances. I'm in the world of finance. I do accounting, but I do it because my health and my journey that I'm going on with I'm doing with my health is in a sense almost like a hobby of mine. So I'm like, hey, why not? Offer it out. But yeah, if you have a hobby, you can still monetize it. Just know that it's a hobby, not necessarily a business, because you still have to put money into it.
Yeah.
And even if it can sustain itself, it's still on a smaller level, a hobby.
Yep, and treat it as such. Like I think things get messy or mixed up when we treat a hobby like a business, and or we treat a business like a hobby. Like there has to be some defined boundaries on what it is, because what boundaries do is it sets the proper expectation. I think when Wale was talking about getting burnt out because you pouring money into this hobby, but if you're looking to generate back what you put into it, then you got to look at it in a whole different way. So I think a lot of it is about your perception.
I have a question.
How you got a question? I'm just like,
Because when you
I'll mess with you.
when you looking it up, it says that the IRS says that your hobby becomes a business when you start to make money. So if say that my candles was just a hobby for me, but I go to the events and I sell them, I'm making money. So does that make me a business? Because for some people, that's that thin line that am I a hobby or am I a business? Because a lot of people want to get away with having a business, but treating it or saying that it's a hobby so that they don't have to pay those quarterly taxes, those yearly, you know what I'm saying? So, all of those things. And I know you
do what
can
you got to
answer
do. I'm just saying.
I believe it would be considered a business at that point when you start generating funds, generating money on it.
that. Say that again.
It would be considered a business once you start generating money on it.
All
But
right.
the thing
Yeah,
is,
And
that's
you would
because
just need
IRS
to take
wants a
the
piece of
proper
every
steps
pie.
at that point,
but the thing is oftentimes when we do it as a hobby, we don't know at what point we're generating income.
Right.
Because if you don't bought $100 worth of product and you go to an event and you make $150, but you don't pay $100 for a spot, even though you came home with $150, you ain't made no money.
No.
Exactly.
Leslie
That's
has
true.
a good point.
That's true.
I was actually going to ask Leslie's question as well. Does anybody know if there's a certain, a line that dictates the dividing line? Is there a certain like number or amount? If you make over 500, it's considered a business. A line, or what determines that? Do they just look at your expense and your profit and then determine that?
It says, when I did my research on it, when you start keeping your business records, separating your business income and expenses, and have everything separate, then that's when the IRS will start looking at it as if, as a business. Because you're no longer, say for instance, if you had it as a hobby and you made, like she said, $100 or whatever, you didn't have it as a business at that time. But if you're consistently making money off of what you had as a hobby at the time, like she said, her candles, and now you're making some good money off of it, then yes, you would need to step into that business realm.
But the thing
Because
with
now
that,
you're keeping your records, you're making funds, you separated your income. That's when the IRS will start looking at it as a business.
okay, but what I wanted to say with that is, like Michelle said, I paid out of pocket. If I paid out of pocket for all the supplies and everything that I did, even though I made some money off of selling them, if I didn't make what I've already spent, am I still in that category?
But that go back to what Carissa said. Business is made to make profit immediately when you go active. Some businesses ideally can actually make the profit back the first year they open.
Right.
Their strategy is so on point. Their plan is amazing. The resources that they have are in place. There are, but then there's some businesses you don't see profit in the first 2 to 3 years. Really,
Right.
So that's that comparison that Carissa was saying, that when we come in like, oh, it's a business, I'm going to make money. Necessarily, kind of mean that that's going to be what it is.
True.
There's another question, and I think I'm familiar with the answer, but Wadaline, Selena, I know you're on too. Is it a business when they have a tax ID? You register and you get a tax ID. Are you considered by the IRS to be a business?
Yes,
Technically, but
Yeah.
in that same regard, if you have a tax ID, you haven't cleared a profit in 3 years, the IRS is not gonna consider you a business anymore because you're not clearing anything.
Right.
You're not showing any income. So even though you have a tax ID, so you could continue to use it and everything, but you have a hobby and IRS standards and not a business, because after 3 years, you're still in the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So if they
Right.
consider you a hobby, Waldina, how do you get it back? How do you?
Wadley,
I'm sorry, what? I'm so sorry. I will mess up the name.
Hey,
Please
Tiff, you over here
forgive
like, wait.
Please forgive me.
yeah, go ahead.
But if they consider you to be a hobby, how do you get them to get you back to being a business?
You just start
By making
bringing in
profit?
money.
Yeah, bringing in a profit.
Okay.
Yeah, you just start bringing in money. And
So if
as
they-
far as the separation between like what Selena was saying, bank accounts and keeping the records separate, because people with a lot of the times they will mesh the two together, their business income, their business expenses with their personal, and they'll all be intertwined. And even though they have a business, they have the EIN number, they're still meshing everything, which makes it still a hobby because you're not able to tell what the business is actually bringing in, what the business is actually expensing. So if you were to get audited, now you have a bunch of stuff intertwined. Now the IRS is like, what are you doing? You do not have a business. It's all in your personal account. We basically can't use this.
Right.
So just making sure, like she said, you are separating the two if you are building a business versus a hobby.
Right.
So if the IRS consider it as a hobby, so do you no longer have to pay like fees or anything?
No, you still have to pay taxes. Yeah, they still want their money. That doesn't stop.
You're gonna have to disavow the business.
But you can't like have the write-offs, the luxury of writing
Right.
off
The
like a
luxury of
business
the
owner
write-offs.
does.
Right.
That's what it is. So you have to be like a regular 1099, not 1099, W-2 with a bunch of money and pay taxes on that.
Because I know the IRS will allow you so many years to claim it as a loss,
Mhm. Yeah.
And then if you do that for so many years and fail to meet their requirements, then yes, they're gonna consider you as a hobby and not a business because you're not bringing in any type of profit,
So
claiming anything for your business.
I think the good thing to consider also is if we track our profit based upon a monthly and not a quarterly or yearly, it's really hard to determine. So if we're filing and things and we do truly have the data over time, but we can't definitely consider our losses based upon a monthly basis if we're thinking of the overall year. Because when we actually crunch those numbers and put them together, and I'm sure Selena and Wadaline can speak briefly about it, you really see how much you've made. And sometimes people are shocked when they don't realize how much they've expended, how much they spent, and also how much they brought in. So, you ideally may be doing really good, but if you're not doing what you need to do on your end to kind of track it, you'll know your growth, which is why it's important for that.
Absolutely.
Right, and that's why it's very important to keep your records, your these business records, and it's very, very important to keep your business separate from your personal.
Absolutely.
For audit purposes as well.
And I like how you touch on like them not recognizing how much money they're bringing in. Like and I have it plenty of times where I clean up somebody's books and they're like, oh shoot, we brought in 200,000 this year. I didn't even see it because month by month you weren't tracking anything. So then you're just, as soon as the money comes, it's spent. Or you're like, oh shoot, and then you didn't realize that you actually like you got a check for $5,000 and you took yourself out the whole week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because and you went shopping in the mall. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
and then next thing you know, you're like, oh shoot, like, and you upgraded your car.
Right.
So it's like, wait, how do we make 200,000 this year? Like we literally had, say, 150% growth in our business, but I didn't see any of it.
Right.
So it's really like, that's why it's so important to track it month by month. And if you could go as much as week by week, do it, because actually seeing, okay, we brought in $2,000 this week, our expenses are $700. You can actually see how the money's your profits and how your business is growing, and now you can align it and invest in different things. But waiting to the end of the year and coming together and being like, oh, we spent that much and made that much money, wow, like, no,
Can't
it's too
pinpoint
late.
it. Yeah.
It's too late.
You
So
definitely can't pinpoint it with doing it like
yeah.
that. Like you don't know, and then meanwhile you just thought you failed the whole year, or you didn't do well, and you actually did pretty good, or vice versa.
Exactly.
There's another question as well in the chat. So Leslie, she mentions buying ingredients for her desserts during with her household groceries, that she wouldn't be able to report that to the IRS. You definitely have to separate.
Yeah, you had to separate it. And just think of it like this, Leslie, like, how are you able to tell how much you actually spent on that cake? You're not able to tell what your profit margin is on that cake if you just put it together with your groceries. So think of it like that. Now you can actually be underselling your cake. You just spent $30 on the ingredients, but you only sold it for $25. So yeah, tracking it is good for you because it's good for a business, but on the other end, it's helping you make more money because now you're aware of how much it's actually costing you for the materials.
And I
When I
definitely
have to
was
buy
doing
things
that.
when I have to buy things for my event, what I used to do is if I want to grocery shop for the house, I do 2 separate orders.
Me too.
So I buy my home stuff, and then when it's time to buy my business stuff, not only do I use a separate order, but I pay for it with a separate account.
Me too.
And so when I do my accounting each month, I look at my receipts and I look at my account spreadsheet and be like, okay, I paid this, this, and this, and I took in this, and this. And so if you don't have the actual paper receipt, by me using a separate account, everything is listed right there.
So when you say that, are you using like a separate account, like a business account, or was this before you got a business account?
No, I have a business account, but I may use my PayPal. Like I have a PayPal business account too. So it's either my business account or my PayPal account, but it's not my personal. So
Well,
that
you know,
way,
because sometimes people don't have a business account right away when they first start their business. So how are they supposed to?
Now, there's this thing called Wave accounting. And so Wave accounting keep track of all your expenses and incomes. And so you could go in and label it, okay, I bought this for this, this for that. And then after a while, they start recognizing your habits and automatically categorizing it for you. So if you don't have a separate account, you can use Wave accounting to help you separate what you bought for what.
But also setting up, like I have like the next chapter for me has a PayPal account, and then Embrace You has a PayPal account. And with PayPal, until you're able to get a business account, you can use those because you can request a debit card, and they'll send you a debit card that'll have that business name, and it will send you a monthly statement. So you're able to have a record, and it'll have there for you what you spend and what you took in, and it also track your habits and things like that. That's one of the ways that I keep the next
Which I would
chapter
recommend.
and Embrace You separated. But recently with the on wave Tyler Tasty Treats, like I had to say, okay, I got a cash app that I'm gonna use just for Tyler Tasty Treats. Because like that's an easy method. They're pretty trusting of it. And now the way that Cash App is becoming, you can track it that way too. And back to Leslie, like I used to do the same thing. Like if I'm going grocery shopping, I'm just gonna grab some sugar. I'm just gonna grab this. And like when it comes to you being able to track whether or not you're making a sustainable amount of profit off a product that you're making, like you need to be able to know how much each item costs you and what you get out of each item. Like I know that out of a 5 pound bag of flour, I can get X number of cakes made. Out of a 10 pound bag of sugar, I can get, and so you're able, so if just say if the sugar costs you $3 and you can get 5 cakes out of it, like you can literally break it down to the penny as for what it costs you in order to be able to make sure that you're properly charging for your product, as well as you also got to factor in your time. How much time is it paying for you? Because like that was one of the ways that I came up with what my new prices are, is I have an hourly rate that I want to make per hour. And so I have that, and then what my product costs. That way you're making sure that you're not functioning at a loss.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
y'all don't ask long,
No,
but
I
my
love
bad.
that.
Yeah.
How much
I
you're
definitely,
getting paid per hour. Because I broke it down to somebody as well, because she was like she was gonna go do hair. And I was like, oh, okay, how much are you charging? She was like, oh, I'm doing braids in her hair. I'm just doing say $60. I'm charging her $60. I said, okay, but you're spending 9 hours on her head. So essentially you're getting paid less than minimum wage to stand in her hair for this minute amount of hours. So you really got to think about it, like how much do you want to get paid? Because if you're getting $5 an hour, you really have to break it down that much. Like
right.
I'm spending 5 hours baking a cake, and I
And I'm only
like
gonna charge $25
yeah,
for
what
it.
is it? $25, and the ingredients is gonna cost me 15. So it's like, how much do you want to get paid an hour? And that's just with cakes and hair, but it
Yeah.
goes into anything that you're offering,
Yep.
services,
Yep.
as well. So if you're like Autumn creating a website, how many hours does it take to create a website?
How many phases? How many things do you
Gosh.
have?
Yeah.
I could only
Like,
imagine, but yeah.
Look at how
like,
much you gonna pay yourself for the time that you're spending, because a lot of
Mhm.
times we forget to put ourselves in the equation. Like one
Yes.
of the things that I teach the coaches is, even when it comes to you figuring out how much you're going to charge for an hourly session, you need to factor in your gas, you need to factor in the location, you need to factor in your Zoom, you need to factor in your PayPal fees, you need to
Yes.
factor in all of these things, you need to factor in your cleaning bill, how much it costs you to get your hair. All of these things need to be factored into it, because if you don't, you will severely underprice yourself.
Yes.
And a lot of us don't really realize how much we're worth. Like it, when we don't know our worth, we definitely don't know the worth of our product. Like when I realize the knowledge that I have is what people want, charge people for your knowledge. Like there are people who I say I'll tell, like a lady said, oh, can I have your recipe for that? Yeah, sure. Other people I'd be like, no, you can't have my recipe.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like knowledge. When you have knowledge, people want your knowledge. So you have to pay people to occupy your time. I was just sharing with the coaches that even when I have a client who wants to reschedule, you still paying me for that session because I blocked off an hour of time for you. Yes, you may reschedule, but you're going to pay for that session because I was available for your hour.
I agree. I had to write down some things so I could come back to them. But that product analysis and the service, it's so important. And then at the same time, when you figure out your net and your levels of where you're at, you can look at your competitors to make sure that you're not charging these high amounts. And meanwhile, you still are able to actually get the customer service, the reviews, the quality to be able to have yourself to grow. So like actually looking at where you are and what is the minimum that you'll charge and provide for yourself, and then looking at everything that you have going on. Sometimes you have to adjust your product of what you're buying. You know, sometimes there's a cheaper vendor out there too. So you can find the wiggle room for you to actually make sure what is truly your lowest. And when I say truly your lowest, that's looking at keeping the quality, but finding someone else that makes it at a different price. You really got to do your research.
Yep.
Don't
It's
just put the
about
prices out there
planning.
and change them.
Right.
You got to
Oh
do
wait,
your
I'm on the
research.
pricing. I'm gonna make it $500. Wait, hold up. Hold on.
Like,
Hold
hey,
your
we
horses
want
now.
yeah, we want people to come and like, I'm not like, everybody is so valuable. We're all valuable, you know, but at the same time, we want to make sure like, dang, why ain't got nobody calling me? Oh man, I got all the product built up. I ain't got no services going on. Nobody's, you know, so it's like,
Right.
it's definitely, you have to play around, but play around with it and post it when you know it sticks. Don't let them see your wiggle room going up and down. You know, you
Yeah.
be able to do your research. And then Tammy, something about the hobby and business. I had to write this down, y'all. So I think too, it goes back to what Michelle Waddling and kind of what we were saying as far as business versus hobby. When you're ready to go into business, you have to be serious about it, I think, and that's the time to actually get that business account. And
Yeah.
because you start making money, it's hard to go back and get that business account and make it a priority. So
Yeah.
you definitely want
Yes.
to make sure that you take it serious to the standpoint, but it's almost like school. You can't start school without your book. You're going to get your books first. You know, like I start with Michelle in August. I got to get my books before I can start, you know, like, but ideally I can't just say, give me in there and I'll get my books later. Like that ain't really going to work. You know, like I think that's where we
Right.
have to take away that line that we create. Because I think it's really our invisible line.
And again, as I always say, the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So if you don't do the proper planning in your own life where you got a budget and the savings, that ain't gonna just magically appear once you get an EIN number. The way you handle your personal finances will definitely be the way that you handle your business. I'm a witness.
Me too.
Do y'all think it'd be the fear factor sometimes with the bank aspect? Because it's not really as hard or difficult, but what do you think kind of limits people from doing that business bank account?
Because they don't have a personal bank account. The way we do one thing is the way we do everything.
Okay, you just said it, yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Because
it's
they're already
super
not managing
smooth.
the one they have. Yeah, or they don't have one. So it's like, or they feel like it's so beyond them, now I gotta go and create a business account. Like it
Mhm.
literally, and to get an EIN number, in the articles of incorporation, you go on the internet, go to SunBiz, you know, you file your paperwork, and then you go on IRS website, get your EIN number, and you go to the bank. Everything could literally happen in a week. Like
Actually,
you'll be ready to go.
when I set up my business account, I did everything in my business. I did everything at my bank. The bank registered me, gave me my EIN number
Look at
and my
that.
bank account all in one sitting.
Wow.
So, and I bank
Easy.
with Wells Fargo. So I
See?
just went there and said, hey, this is my business name. And they put it in, incorporated, got my EIN number,
Look.
and I was out the door.
It's so like it's so resourceful, like to kind of be able to do it. But even me, when I was doing that whole hobby thing, I was delayed. Remember, Tammy, I was like, oh shoot, I didn't think. Wait a minute, you know, like you got like that was probably one of the biggest mistakes. But I was scared. That was my mistake.
That was me too.
Scared.
Cause Autumn was the one telling me you need to go ahead and register your name. I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I don't even know if this is gonna work as a business. So let me just play
Yeah.
with it first.
That's
But then I
yeah.
went ahead and did that, and it was like, okay, I got the business name, and then like Michelle was saying, I kind of piddle paddled with. I think this year is when I finally got my business bank account. I've been doing everything, been commingled. So that's why we were talking about it on the Facebook. Different ways, because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
That you should go this way, that way, this way. Some of us go over here and then we back over this way and then we back over that way because we don't know exactly how to start a business. We just know that we want to start a business. So I'm gonna just jump into it and I'll figure it out as I go.
Tammy, can I ask you what so from what you said, how long you've been in business and just registering a bank account and taking things to be where it's business perspective, because you've been in it, you know what I'm saying, for a minute. With that being said, what actually got you the resources, or how did you identify the push? Like you were saying, some people don't know. Was it a support? Like, was it research knowledge? Like, help somebody on here that may need to hear what you did to get to that level where you are now.
You know what they say, knowledge is power, but it is and it's not. It's power when you use it. You can read and know everything, but if you don't use it, there's no power behind it. So I had you always in my ear, Autumn, and then just talking to other people and watching other people. And then it's just like, you know what? I really need to get this going. This is something that I know that I don't want to lose this. All those other MLMs and stuff is like, that's not me. This is mine. So let me start running mine like they're running theirs, so I can handle my own and be making my money the way that they making money, or the way that I'm making money for them. So let me have my own. So then it was like, okay, let me go and get this business account. I got burnt by a business account before. So that's why the second time I took so long in getting it, because I was burned the first time. So it's like, okay, you can't be scared. Scared ain't gonna get you nowhere.
I also think that it has a lot to do with the way that minority homes are raised, because Miles Monroe spoke about when he went and sat with the CEO of Sony, and he asked him, he was like, what is it about people who are I don't know if he said Orientals or whatever the nationality, but the Asian nationality, about them, that when they come here, they come here, and before you know it, they have businesses. And the CEO of Sony said to him, it's because um, African Americans are told, you go to school, you get an education, and you get a job.
Mm-hmm.
They train their children that you go to school, you get an education, and you start a business. So their whole mind frame, even when they come to America, they're gonna get the first job they can get, but in that process, they are building to get a business. And then they partner with somebody. You'll have 5 families living in one home, and they partner with somebody, they save, they live on the bare minimum so that they are able to save the necessary funds. So when they build a business plan, they go to the bank, they like, I'm going to the bank, I need a loan, but I've already saved $10,000 or $20,000. And then the bank is more apt to give them money to start their business. So I think a lot of it has to do with the way we're raised, because a lot of us, like, we don't realize how easy it is.
A lot of us won't go into business with each other because we're always scared that you're going to get more than me. You know what I'm saying? It's that crabs in a barrel mentality. Nah, I can't let you get more than me, or you're going to, mess me over somehow. If we go into business together, you get, 60-40. And it's like, with them, they work together, they
Yep.
get that business, they get more businesses. Now they start branching off because they know that it's still coming in regardless. But I think that's another thing with us. We're just scared that somebody else is going to try to do, or somebody else is going to do better than us.
And again, it goes back to the way that they're raised. Like, they're
Exactly.
raised from children. Um, you know, go to school, get an education, start you a job. For us, I start you a business. For us, we're told that the American dream is you go to school, you get a career, and you stay on that job for 28 years until you retire. Like, for us, we're looking to retire from someone else's job instead of creating generational wealth for ourselves.
Yep.
So how do we, and I know my thing of how how do we need to change that culture. You know what I'm saying? It starts with us. It starts with what we're doing now. I've probably never seen as many of us promote us as I've ever seen before. It's happening now, but there's got to be consistency. Not to jump on the bandwagon now, you know what I'm saying, everybody, but like, what can we do to make sure that foundation is there? Because
Let's start at home.
there you go. Home. What else? Build a support network.
We got to expose them to it, because I know I went to Stanton, which is a predominantly white or Asian community, and so I didn't know what it was like to be around a lot of African Americans. And so when I got a full scholarship to FAMU, I was like, oh my God, this is like heaven. And then I'm like, and we're all together and we're successful. And I saw all these entrepreneurs and millionaires. I was like, what you say? And once I got exposed to that, I immediately changed my major from law to business. I'm like, I'm not doing this right. I said, I need to find out what they are doing. I want to do that too. Because I was raised the same way. You go to school, you go get you a good career, get you a job, work for somebody, and you retire. And I'm like, I knew when I went into the work industry, I'm like, this is not for me. I'm here to just learn what they could teach me and go start my own business. That's the mindset I had. And I raised my kids the same way. My kids work for me. And they tell me now, especially my 18-year-old son, he said, Mom, now that I'm working, I see why you taught me everything you taught me. He said, work is easy compared to what you had me doing. If they spend one day with you, they be begging for these managers. But he said, work is easy. He said, I'm disciplined. I'm getting the work done fast. And everybody's like, they're complaining. He was like, man, this is easy. So like you said, it starts at home, what you expose your kids to. A lot of times in the African-American community, we don't talk about finances. It's always what happens in our house stays in our house. We don't talk about how to balance a checkbook and what it's like to pay bills. It's always hush hush when it comes to money. And so we are raised clueless to what's going on, and then we have to find out about life on our own. So I'm completely transparent with my kids. I teach them how to budget. I teach them how to have a spreadsheet. I teach them to pay themselves. I teach them how to set money aside to save. And it's like, if we continue to do that, and not just in our home, but anybody we have access to, any youth we have access to, any other business owners or people say, hey, this is how you do it. This is what you need to be doing. And so if enough of us is doing that, then that crabs in the bucket mentality will no longer be. And then we won't just say, okay, I have to connect and partner with people that look like me, because that's not always the case. I'm here to connect with people that are headed towards the same vision, same goal. If we are two puzzles that fit together and we could work together, then we need to work together. And it doesn't mean that you look like me or sound like me, because everything happens for a reason. I used to always try to go out and find people, hey, come with me to do this. And I don't do that anymore. I wait for them to be sent, and then I see if we have the same mind and same heart, okay, we could work together. And it may not be working together in my business, but we could work together to help sharpen each other. Hey, let me tell you how to do this, and you could tell me how you do that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that, I mean, I'm all for making money, please believe me. But everything that we do doesn't have to have a fee attached to it. Like Michelle said, you decide if it's you're servicing or what's the other one? I can't hear you.
There are some that you serve, and there are some that you serve.
Exactly. And that's what you got to decide. If you're going to be serving somebody or servicing somebody.
Right. I agree. And I think as us as a culture, when I talk about talented, we're talented. Half of the things we've made or we created, you know, we're very, very talented, where we can actually be someone and we don't have to work for someone else. We can have our own, but our mind has to be sharpened to be able to make it that. Tammy, I forget the name of the one business, but there's a Yanni soap, like a Yanni thing. That one, she
Soft XO.
Yeah, there's nobody else doing anything like that. She opened up a whole warehouse from starting in her home of something that she knew was just a hobby for her, but she knew when to transform it into a business the right way at the right time. That woman is now a millionaire almost, you know,
She's only 21.
only 21 years of age, producing and knowing, but she had the support. She had the people behind her guiding her. She had the network that she created that she trusts. There was resources there to make everything that she can do as a hobby as profitable as a business and to help other people.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's big. I think we need to have like a series or something.
You know that African Americans, we call it hustling, but we are born to be entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Look at drug dealers. They are business owners. If you can sit here and maintain that many people working underneath you and making sure your money coming in and you can evade the police, you should be a business owner. Somebody needs to sit you down like, listen, let's get you legal.
Right.
Those are
Let's take
transferable
those skills and hone in on something legal.
Those are transferable skills.
Yeah, like we have the skill. We don't think we have the support. We don't think we have the resources. But ideally, we have everything right in front of us. We really.
Yeah.
I think it's a good topic. I think it's something that we had 8:23, and I know we had like a little a long start, 15-minute delay. But I think it's something maybe we should continue and open it up for additional questions to help other people. I think we're all resourceful on this topic in our own way because we all started from somewhere and came from something. And now look at what we're doing now. But I definitely, Wadeline, you have any feedback on your watch that we didn't answer?
No.
I've been trying to catch it as
I just want to say this to our people. It's just like what my tattoo says. My tattoo has a female hand holding Africa, and underneath it says Black owned. And inside of Africa, it has knowledge, wealth, and power. And that's why I have Black owned. We own that, but it's up to us to utilize it. We have to stop using society as a crutch as why we can't do anything. When we have everything that we need at our fingertips, we need to research, ask questions, and find out what it is that you can do to monetize what you already do effortlessly. You do these things effortlessly. Ask questions. We need to be more apt to help each other, and then instead of trying to pull each other down. You could call any one of us, I'm sure, reach out to any one of us, say, hey, I want to do this. What did I need to do?
Yes.
How can I start?
Absolutely.
Tap into the resource that you already have.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We have a whole support group based upon our being melanated. I mean, it's free advice, things. There's a support group almost for everything, especially if it's trusted people that you already know. You can tap into those. Like, there's not a question you can ask right now and someone is going to put a dollar amount on it. There's not, we're all there for that support. And then we all are there. I'm pretty sure if I'm not doing what I got to do, Carissa's going to check me. Wileen's going to check me. Autumn, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? Like, to make sure our business is kept serious on the outside, but internally, network, that's what keeps us going.
Exactly.
I think this is awesome. I think we should do like a round 2, honestly. Like,
yeah, this was good.
Idea for next time, like.
Lisa said we should do a webinar, a seminar. I told her we already working on it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that in there. Yeah. Like, we on our way.
Hey, we on our way, and this is all strangers connected. You know what I'm saying? We have a level of trust. So like, if we need to check each other, like, we ain't in our skin about it. You know what I'm saying? And then we're also there to handhold when we're going through something.
We're not strangers. We're just sisters from another mister. That's all.
But yeah. But yeah, if you have any questions, make sure you hit one of us up. And then I think next Thursday, let's keep this topic alive. I think there's things we didn't cross, and maybe we can talk about the different business aspects. Because after you go into a business, because some of them business will get you in a sole proprietor versus LLC. We got a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I think if we roll it over, but I think we can kind of start. Leslie, we got you. Leslie, we got to join Leslie in the crew.
I was messaging her to tell her you already are. Leslie is my assistant trainer, so.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was pretty cool, definitely.
Yeah. Look, my assistant trainer is on here. My marketing manager is on here. My best friend from high school is on here.
Yeah, this was really, really good. I think we're doing something different within our community.
Mhm.
Resourceful that we can kind of help to grow because
Yes.
sometimes we're sharing who we are. It's overwhelming. And I was telling Timmy, I was talking to you earlier? I was talking to somebody. I'm in these groups now, and it's like overwhelmed. I can't track all the businesses. There's hundreds, there's thousands of them. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
ideally we want to keep you in business. I think in everything that we do as a group and how we operate individually, we're all for longevity if you remain in a business. Because
Yes.
think we can stay open that long. So let me show you we got the resources to open just as long and if not longer.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was cool. Y'all have any final words? I know we all
I, I
Hmm.
know, and I don't want to mess your name up again.
Wadleen.
Eileen, I need to talk to you offline.
Okay.
And I mess up Waterline name because I pronounce every letter.
Yeah,
Trying to
you
make
do
sure I
pronounce every
say it
letter.
right.
Hey, so how about Michelle? You know how many times we talk, right?
Yes.
So this is to tell you I've been looking and I've been doing my research. What's the proper way to say your name, your first name?
Michelle.
Right.
Oh,
We
Michelle.
say
Okay.
Michelle, but it's Michelle. I was like, wait till I tell her. That's that website.
You really been researching.
Let's see.
Trying to build for someone, you have to get to know them, you know? So I'm doing my research. I'm like, I did not know that. But
Look, and I don't even correct people. I'm like, it's okay. I tell you all the time, just don't call me late for dinner. Call me what you want.
Ah,
all right. So
I just
yeah.
want to encourage everyone to, all the business owners, focus on what you do well. I know you're going to see a lot of people that's being successful right now, but you don't know what their story was before you see their success. A lot of times we think it's overnight success. It is not overnight, sugar. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to where we are. So focus on what you do well, and everything's going to fall into place. Don't be looking to your left and looking to your right. Stay focused on what you are called to do, what you're purposed to do, and everything is going to work out. Don't chase money. If you ever chasing money, you're going in the wrong direction because what you chase moves. So you chase your dreams. Your dreams are supposed to move to stretch you. The money is going to chase you.
go ahead. Okay. Yes.
Look, Chris went in there.
Better.
Hey, that thing was on her heart. Like, wait a minute now.
I love that.
She done made me think of some final words. Like if I could share anything, it would definitely be build relationship because it is relationship over revenue. If
Yes.
you build relationship, revenue will come. Like,
Right.
and everything you need comes through somebody. Like everything, the Lord ain't coming down putting nothing in your hand. Everything you need comes through relationship. And I heard TD Jakes say, if you have a lack of resources, it's because you have a lack of relationship. So
Mhm.
learn to build relationships
Yes.
because that's where your resources are.
Yes.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Tammy, you got anything?
I can't go behind that. I'm gonna let y'all have that. This time, look, this time I'm gonna be on y'all next time.
Wadeline, you got
Oh.
anything?
So I did want to touch on an event that's coming up next weekend on Juneteenth. That is June 19th. It's a block party at Teapot's Naturals. And if you are a business owner, there's going to be quite a bit of vendors out there, small business owners, small Black business owners out there. So of different calibers offering a variety of different things. So I would definitely want to extend that out. It starts at 4:00. There's going to be like bounce houses and fireworks and a lot of activities and different things to get into out there. And I think it's definitely a great way to build community, great way to network. Also, bring your mask because this is a social distancing block party, but I did want to make sure that I extend that out there. because as a business owner, it's a great opportunity, but also another opportunity to build relations, like the two ladies said.
I think that's awesome. Is she still doing vendors or?
Yeah,
Um,
she's still accepting vendors, I believe.
So too, if you're a business and you would like to be a vendor to provide opportunities for people to actually be able to see your business and purchase, because it's open to the public, that's definitely a platform that you can kind of be at to do that as well. I think it's an awesome opportunity, and what she's giving back to the community is pretty awesome too. And we post a flyer in this feed so that way too. That way everybody can have it, because there's like what, a week, 3 events in 3 days, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it's a week of events because Melanin Market is the next day, and then there's like a family beach day or something on that Sunday.
American Beach. You never been to American Beach? Oh, you got it. So y'all have to do. Let me just. I'm gonna drop this jewel. Y'all have got to do the research of American Beach and what it means to our culture and community. So, for example, July about 2 years ago, we don't really celebrate, but we went there to the beach because as slaves, that's where we were, and that's the only place we were able to be. That town is so historic to the Black community that it is so important you do your research on that beach. Like, I have to drop that jewel. When y'all do it, y'all gonna be like, wow, it is one place that I think it's an awesome spot Sunday to be at for what they're doing for June 19th.
Also, Jazz Poetry Cafe is having a virtual event tomorrow. And if you want to be a part of our vendor virtual event, please reach out to us so you can take part of that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll drop by saying, got one last event on the last Saturday of every month. ADQM is going to do a virtual vending. So definitely you're able to go to the website, sign up for it, participate in it. It's uniquely streamed on a special platform. It's an awesome opportunity for you to be on the screen by yourself and have the opportunity to share and continuously be able to share and grow and spread knowledge about your business. So you're more than welcome to hit me up. And on that note, I'll go ahead and call it a night at 8:30.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, my bad. Leslie says, say the name again. ADQM Solutions is my company. Jazz Poetry Cafe is Carissa's. And Waterline, it's Teaposh Naturals for Juneteenth.
Yes.
All right.